All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. This morning, I'm bad. I did not get all the quizzes finished up yesterday. I still have a few more to do, and I'll get those grades to you as soon as possible, no later than tomorrow. I apologize. Grades will be posted no later than tomorrow. Just got too busy yesterday, and I apologize. So I'll post those quiz grades as soon as I can. Our topic today is estates, wills, all part of retirement planning, of which a lot of you probably are involved in estate or will planning, but you're the beneficiary. A lot of you probably are not at that point in your planning of your life to put together an estate, a trust, a will, but I'm sure some of you are involved in the estate planning of your parents or your grandparents, your will or your living will of your parents or grandparents or even brothers and sisters. Many of us, part of retirement planning is not only financial, and I'm sorry to sound kind of crude on this analysis, but somebody who's going to pull the plug. Somebody who's going to pull the plug and make the decision of how you live if you get to a certain point in your time. That's estate planning. That's a living will versus a normal will, so to speak. You need to plan somebody that you designate to make some decisions when you no longer can make decisions. That's the difference between a living will and a will. A living will is you give somebody the power to make the medical decisions of whether you live or die. You give somebody the power of being your attorney or representing your legal interest. That's what a living will is. Anybody who's 20 years old to 80 years old should have a living will. It has nothing to do with finances. It has everything to do with making the decision of how to manage your life when you are no longer able to do so. All right, that's a key. And a will is determining who gets what of your property. A will determines who's the beneficiaries. A will determines how you're going to tax plan and retire and distribute your retirement money when you're no longer there. That's a will. But a living will is determining who has the power to say, you know what, Rick decided when he got into a coma and he was in a coma for 2 months that I was going to make the decision to pull the plug. Or Rick decided that I was going to make the decision that I didn't want to be in this state of my life and pull the plug. Whatever. That's a living will. And I'm sure some of your parents or some of your grandparents or even some of your brothers and sisters might have living wills, and you might be the person who makes that decision. You don't want to think long and hard about being involved in a situation like that. That can be very traumatic. But that's part of planning later on in your life, having a will. The determination of a living will is where you have somebody make the choices when you no longer can. With Alzheimer's nowadays, many living wills are there because people who have Alzheimer's or have Alzheimer's in their heredity, they're going to have living wills because they no longer can make those decisions for themselves. A will is setting aside assets. It's distribution of property, distribution of debt, if you can believe it. That's a will. So those are all things that are very important to understand the definitions of, and understanding that you need to put those in some motion at some point in time. How that's different from estate planning is when you designate where the money is going to go. How do you plan the distribution of your estate, of your assets, once you get to this point in time of your life? There's a nice document in your Blackboard in week 14 called Estate Planning Checklist. I know a lot of you are not involved in this, but a lot of you might want to read this because you might be involved in the estate of somebody. You might be a beneficiary. And it's probably a good idea to understand what an estate is. All right? An estate is where you tailor and you determine the documents and the distribution of assets and wealth or lack thereof when you die. That's an estate. Many times you read, and here in Claremont, they're quite popular, and also in Laverne, Estate sales. Hey, what's that all about? There's an estate sale today. There's a billboard up on somebody's front lawn, or there's an ad in the paper. Well, there's an estate sale today. What is that? Well, the person who owned those assets, that house, whatever, in their will, in their estate planning, they designated that all their household possessions will be sold to the public. And the monies accumulated from that will be used to pay off the bills of the estate after that person is gone. That's an estate sale. You can go and buy up somebody's property, and that money goes to help them determine, pay their bills, or help the family pay the bills of the estate. So estate planning, like wills, is you anticipating helping the people out or helping yourself out once you get to a certain point of your life. And it's an important thing, especially if you have assets, or especially if you have a lot of people you care about and beneficiaries. Make sure you plan for their well-being, or that make things easier should you pass. Another thing involved in estate planning is the creation of trusts. Trust. Now that's more of a tax planning deal. A trust is a way of designating assets for taxable or non-taxable purposes. Sometimes people, and I think I mentioned this before weeks ago in our class, you'd be surprised how many alumni of the University of Laverne have a trust set up where when they die, their assets go to the University of Laverne. You're probably thinking today on May 13th, 2020, why in the hell would somebody want to give your money to the University of Laverne? I've given enough of my money to the University of Laverne. But that's part of the planning. Once you get old and you have time to designate who gets your assets, many people designate assets to the American Heart Association, the American Cancer Society, their university, their high school, their church. Estate and trust planning is a way of distributing these assets and making sure people get what you want them to get once you're no longer here. So that's an important item, not for us right now when we're 22 years old and trying to determine what we're going to do with our life, but you're at the other end of the scale now. You maybe have some people who you're a part of their estate, you're a part of their planning. And it's probably a good idea to know that and to understand that and to talk to these people about that. You'd be surprised how many parents and grandparents have wills and estates and they never tell anybody about them. You find out about these once they're dead. Then all of a sudden you get a knock on your door saying, oh, by the way, here's a new car. Where in the hell did this come from? Well, your dad left it to you in his will. How come nobody told me about that? It's kind of a good idea to know these things as part of your own planning. Okay. The first thing to have to do with one of the cardinal rules of planning your retirement, planning your death, is make sure if you have any debt that it's covered by insurance. Don't leave your beneficiaries or your family to pay off all your debts, and that includes burial expenses. Make sure you have life insurance, auto insurance, disability insurance, homeowners insurance, mortgage insurance. If you have debt at the later part of your life or at any time of your life, make sure there's some type of insurance to cover that so your sons or daughters, your brothers and sisters, your aunts and uncles don't have to meet those responsibilities. You can do that at least. And the other thing is also, as I just said, have a will. Have a will. A will is, as I said earlier, a living will designates how your demise will be. Who's going to be making those decisions? A will and testament describes who gets the beneficiaries, who's the beneficiaries of your assets at the end of a life. Again, as I said earlier, if you have a large estate, you might want to set up a trust. A trust is where you transfer your property to the trust. The trust will own the assets, not you. Even though the trust is in your name, it's a separate financial entity that has control over your assets. You would have probably somebody represent the power of attorney of the trust, like a spouse or a sibling or somebody like that. but you create a trust. Now, trusts are only advisable, and I'll be honest with you, they don't mention in this article. If you have over 250,000, 300, $400,000 of assets. In other words, if you own a home, you probably should have a trust. Okay. But if you don't have any sizable assets, you're just wasting your money by having a lawyer or have somebody write up a trust. It's too expensive. But if you have substantial assets, assets that need to be distributed when you die, a trust is a good way of distributing those assets. Remember, the last tax you have in your life is a tax on death. When you die, the government will tax your assets as you distribute them. If you put them into a trust, that tax can be avoided. And that's something that as you have substantial assets, that can be an issue. One of my fathers, I have a father who's 88 years old. One of his greatest fears is he doesn't want to leave his children any debts or any responsibility when he dies. So he has a trust set up. The trust will sell off the assets and pay the tax, not his children. That's one. Every time I talk to him, is that trust in good shape? Everything okay? We're paying the bills. Everything's all set. He gets all nervous about that because he doesn't want any of his children to bear the responsibility of his death, and rightly so. That's probably good shame, and we should do the same. So that's where trust wills are very important. All right. Another important factor is designate somebody that has a power of attorney. Okay. And that's where we get in again to the living will directive, where you designate somebody to make those decisions for you. Death and retirement planning can be very complicated. It can be a real pain in the neck. So you should be aware of all those things as you get older, but also right now you should, I don't know how you're going to do this, what your relationship is like with your family, but you should ask your parents, dad, mom, grandparents, am I in a will? Am I in an estate? Am I a beneficiary? What goes on here? Hopefully they're giving you that information, but that's an important thing to understand and to know. And if they don't want to give you that information, which you'd be surprised, a lot of parents do not like to give that information even to their children. You should remember that down the road, that once your parents do pass and your grandparents do pass, or even your brothers and sisters, due to circumstances that's beyond your control, that you have some idea or some acknowledgement that there will be procedures, bills, expenses, taxes involved in whatever estate you have. And that's an important thing to remember. And that's one of the last bits of personal finance that we study in this class as we come to the end of the semester, is to understand, as we grow older and as our families grow older, there are certain responsibilities after death that need to be accounted for. And I know that's a depressing subject to talk about, but it's the state of our way of our tax laws. You have to pay a death tax when you die on the assets distributed. How you hide those, bad choice of words, how you shield those from taxes can be in a estate, in some type of will, and that sort of thing. But also, more importantly, how you designate how you should die and how you should take care of yourself when you no longer can make those decisions. That's where a living will can be very beneficiary to not only to yourself, but to your family. I've been in those situations with a parent, is where the family has to make a decision of whether they should seek certain type of medical treatment or just not do anything. And that's not a fun decision to make. And especially in a family environment where you might have rare variety of different opinions, making that designation on your own while you're still able to make that designation in a will or a living will is very important to your family. So enough of that depressing talk about death, but that's part of planning your life. Retirement, are you comfortable financially? And we talked about that on Monday. And also, is your family, is everybody understanding how you're going to be determining the last few decisions you have to make in your life, and how are they going to be accounted for? And that's an important thing to do and remember. And as you now start your life in post-college and being out in the real world, not so much making estate plannings or even will plannings, but how you fit into where your family is as far as estate planning, and what are your responsibilities in your own family about how that is designated. That can be a very important decision to make. And sometimes some of us get to the point where we have to have people like attorneys or accountants or financial planners make those decisions for us, which is nothing wrong with that. But make sure when you have people make those decisions for you, you understand what the decisions are and the results of those decisions. Make sure you understand that, and then you'll be better off, and your family would be better off in the long run. Okay, so that's estate planning. Woo. Always gives me the willies talking about estate planning. But it is a decision you have to make. Now, another topic I wanted to address today is online trading. We talked about that earlier. We've been talking about online and investment trading throughout our class, and I wanted to give you guys an example of online trading, because online investments and online trading can be a part of your own personal decision-making process as you go on in your financial affairs, but also it can be a decision-making process that can be very dangerous and very expensive and very risky, and something you need to be aware of. And I have a short video about that. Remember, I told you last week I would like to show you my online trading account, and I had to get the approval of the powers that be at the university, and that approval says, no, Rick, you can't show them your private financial account. I have a feeling I know why, because a few years ago, before you guys were here at the institution, a professor did that, and he passed on some investment advice, and the investment advice blew up in everybody's face, and the university was sued. So I'm sure the university does not want to get in a situation like that, even though I'm not giving investment advice. They don't even want to be put in that position. So thus, I cannot show you my personal online trading accounts. But just as well, I have a nice video that was supplied to me when I did sign on to online trading, and I thought I'd pass that video on, and we'll watch it here. It answers some of the basic questions about online trading. And I know some of you already participate in online trading, so this is nothing new to you, but I know a lot of you are thinking about it once you get to some point in time to opening up these accounts. So let's bring up that video and watch it.
You're also going to need your date of birth, social security number, or employer identification number. And because the brokerage, and then how to trade on that brokerage. I'm on stocks is actually very easy. Now, I'm going to show how you can open a brokerage account and then how to trade on that brokerage. I'm on E-Trade right now, and opening a brokerage account is really like opening a bank account. So some of the things you need are going to be proof of address. So this is usually a utility bill. You can also get, if you don't have a utility bill for yourself with your name on it, you can have the person who pays the utility bill sign it and state that you reside there. You're also going to need your date of birth, social security number, or employer identification number. And because the brokerage needs to identify you, and you're also going to need your own address and employer name. An employer name can also be, you can also put student, which is what I put. So I made it on an individual account. This is just for one person. You can have a joint account, which is literally what it sounds like. It's a joint account. There's two people on it who can both trade. And then there's a custodial account, which is for people under the age of 18 or 21 in some states. And so custodial accounts are also cool because there's no minimum deposit required for them. So if you're under 18, put any money you have in a custodial account. I'm a new to E-Trade, so I'm gonna put my name, my real name, Hickory Wine Maple, hickorywine@gmail.com. Let's continue there. All right, so this is it's gonna ask for your information here, like your address, your phone number. You're gonna have to put your social security number down. Let's just try a random one. It's gonna ask for employer information. So if you are employed, then you can put your occupation, and you can also put student, which is what I put because I am a college student. And then you're going to create your investment profile, which is basically how much money you make, what's your net worth, how do you invest, are you going to do long-term investing, day trading, what kind of investment objective do you have, like growth or income. Once you fill this out, it's pretty much done. And then you just send in the documents for proof of residence. They might ask for your driver's license. Basically, you have to identify yourself and have your own address proven. So it's really simple to open a brokerage account in the United States. I'm not sure how it is internationally, but I'm going to look into it and actually going to see how I can make a video showing how to open brokerage accounts in other countries. But we'll start with this. Opening a brokerage account is really easy. Now I have Options House, and Options House is another brokerage that was just acquired by E-Trade. So now my brokerage is going to go into E-Trade, and all my securities are going to go into E-Trade. So I'm not going to, make a new E-Trade account because my current account is actually moving into it. But I'm going to show you how you can trade and buy stock. So buying stock is actually really simple. Now on this platform, there's a trade button. Click that. Here I can put in what I want to buy. So I want to buy Netflix. This is where you pick what kind of security or derivative you want to buy. See, they have a lot of options right here. I mean, this is Options House, so. But we're going to buy stock. Now, it says here position. This is how many shares I have right now, and I have 5. And then we have the bid and the ask. So the bid is what people are willing to pay to buy the share, to buy a single share. And the ask is what people are willing to sell the single share at. So it works like an auction, and I'm going to show you here. So right here we have the action, which is of either buy or sell. Now I want to buy, and I want to buy 100 shares because I'm filthy rich. Okay, so when you choose to put in an order, you want to be around the middle. I mean, if you're paying, you want to pay less for the share, right? Or if you're selling, you want to get more for it. But if you're around the middle, you kind of compromise to get the share as soon as you can. So right here, price type. Market is buying at the highest price. Limit is choosing your own price. So right here, I can bring it to the midpoint, and that's $162.29. This is the price. And you can also put in a price. Like I could put in $100, and that could go. But it's not gonna. I'm not gonna get 100 shares at $100 because no one's selling it at $100. So I have to be, around the midpoint. And the reason you do the midpoint is just to get the order quickly, because sometimes the stock can just jump to like 164, and then, you missed it because your order didn't fill right away. Automation, you don't need to pay attention to. Special handling, you don't need to pay attention to. The duration, you should pay attention to, because this is how long your order will sit until it is filled. And filled means the 100 shares is in your account. So day means you put the order in, and it will be there for the entire day until it gets filled. And there's also these others that you can do, but I recommend day for now. And then so down here, the estimated amount you will spend, $16,000. So this is how much you're paying for the 100 shares. And here's also a description of it. And right here on Options House, you have this snapshot analysis. I'm not sure if any other brokerages have it, but probably. And this is showing your risk profile. And your risk profile is seeing how much profit you can make and how much you could also lose. So when you buy stock, you can lose infinite, as in the stock can go to 0, and you can make infinite, as in the stock can go as high as it can. That's why it shows max profit infinite here, and you don't have a probability. But with options, you will have a probability, because there's usually a set limit to how much you could lose or a set limit to how much you can make. Now back to our order ticket. Now we can, after we put in what we want to buy it at, how many shares we want to buy, and what stock we want to buy, we just hit the preview, and it'll give you a rundown of what you're paying for. So the debit is how much I'm spending, and then there's the commission, and this is how much total I'm spending. And right here, I mean, it sees that I have 0 resulting cash buying power, and this is because I only have around 1,500 cash buying power left. So this is why I have this warning, but this will show you how much money you have left to spend. And then you hit send and you buy the stock. Now when you buy it, it's going to put an order here, and it won't be filled until someone wants to sell the stock at the price that you are buying it for. And that's how you buy stock. I mean, it's really simple. You open a brokerage account. In the United States, you'll use your social security number, proof of residence, and your employer information to open brokerage. You fund your brokerage account, and then you choose what stock you want to buy. So that was the video. I hope you liked it. For any international people who don't live in the United States, I'm sure brokerages work.
Okay, so that's kind of a brief look, but it's the same. That's exactly how it works. And, you know, the screen look is a little bit different for some brokerage firms, but that's how easy it is to do online trading. But as I said earlier, easy but dangerous, very dangerous. If all of a sudden you start thinking you're the Wolf of Wall Street, if all of a sudden you start thinking you're Warren Buffett and can make every decision that's going to make a lot of money, that's when you can get into very big problems. And that's why it's good, as that gentleman showed you, to have a risk monitor. Have somebody at that brokerage firm say, you really want to do this? You really want to take that gamble? You really want to have the possibility that you might lose some money here? Pay attention to those. That's why you're paying the commission on online trading. You're having somebody kind of look over your shoulder and say, you sure you want to do that? Is that really a wise thing to do? That's something you should pay attention to, because I've known a lot of students who no longer are students, but who graduate from college and think because they have a business degree, they walk on water when it comes to financial decisions. And then they get into these online brokerage accounts, and next thing you know, they lose $10,000. Not cool. So you have to pay attention to that. And you have to go into it eyes wide open, and also go into stock trading and online trading being humble. Don't think you know exactly what's going on, because you don't. I have been in the business for 40 years. I still don't know what the hell's going on. So you got to be aware of that as you go into online trading. But online trading can be fun. It can be fun. It can be educational. It can be learning about the financial conditions of the world, and it can be a good thing. So I want you to take advantage of that down the road, but do it in very moderate and within your own limit terms, and then it can be a good factor to work in. So that's online trading. And you might, and again, I know some of our students already in this class have dabbled in it and participate in it. And if anybody wants to chime in now about talking about your online trading experience, pluses or minuses, feel free to do so. Julio? Julio?
Never dabbled with online trading.
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry. I
No,
apologize.
I've
I
only
thought
done cryptos.
okay. Okay. I thought you might have been done.
Yeah.
Danny Sanchez, have you
Done a
dabbled in
little bit.
online trading?
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about it? Or is that too personal?
Well, no, it was kind of recent. About 2 years ago, I had dabbled in cryptocurrency, but I definitely didn't know much about it and was kind of done with it. I still have money in cryptocurrency, but not exactly profitable. More recently, I started trading on Robinhood because I personally like the layout of Robinhood. I don't know if you might have a different opinion on that.
No, it's okay. It's decent. Yeah.
So far, it's been pretty good. I have stock in a couple cruise lines, a couple airlines. I have stock in Nordstrom. I used to work for Nordstrom. So I have stock in Nordstrom, and I have stock in SiriusXM. And so far, everything. I mean, it's a lot of stuff tanked, obviously, with the current circumstances. But right now, I'm still profitable.
How was the ease of doing the trading, Danny? Were you intimidated? Was it fairly user-friendly?
Oh no, Robinhood. That's why I like it because I didn't know a lot about it. Robinhood is extremely user friendly and it was just extremely easy to set up. Um, Super easy to add money to your account to buy stock. But I know I have a friend, actually Matthew, the CEO of our practicum group.
Yes.
He's the one who sent me the link and like helped me set it up and everything. So he actually knows quite a bit. He's been doing this for a while. But no, it's super user friendly. If anyone wants to, get into it, I recommend Robinhood. And it's really cool because it provides you with a lot of information. And then there's an but it gives you like a lot of daily news articles, a lot of updates.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you lists for like.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying it gives you lists. Like it provides you lists for like what's most popular, what people are buying right now, what's being held, what's most popular based on categories. So I think it's extremely user friendly, especially if you're just getting into it.
What was your goal set out when you originally started it and now? Is your goal for long term, or you just want to make money and then when you think you're happy with how much money you make, get the hell out of there? What's your goal?
No, my personal goal is definitely long term.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that maybe right now I've been watching it closely, but maybe now would be a good time to invest because the market has tanked so much, especially uh, stocks that are involved in cruise lines, airlines, commodities. I mean, essentially everything. Um, Car manufacturers, but no, definitely long term. I just have a lot of money put aside savings, so I thought, why not invest it instead of just letting it sit there.
Do you still have money in savings?
Yes.
Okay, so you balance that.
Oh yes. So I have money in savings that just kind of sits there, and then I have money in stock. Um, but no Roths or anything yet. No 401ks. It kind of just sits there. So that's why I decided to start investing.
Okay, very good, Danny. Thank you. That was informative. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I hope I didn't get too personal with asking too personal questions. So thank you.
Of
On your
course.
screen, good. On your screen now, you'll see. Speaking of portfolios and investments and returns and cash, I have now created. If you go to your Blackboard site after class and you go to your discussion forum, I have created a graded discussion forum for this week that is due Sunday at midnight, Sunday, May 17th. It's to do a final valuation of your portfolio, okay? This is a graded assignment for this week, due on Sunday. You are to determine the value of your stock portfolio that you've tracked since February on this Friday, May 15th at the close of the market, all right? You're to create and update your spreadsheet that you've been tracking throughout the class and update that with the latest valuations. And I want you to tell me the percentage gained on your portfolio, the dollar value of your portfolio, and also the updates of the 3 indexes, the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ of your portfolio. There's been examples already posted in solutions of quizzes that we've done in the past and the midterm of updating portfolios, so you can use those as examples. But I would like you to do that this week and post it by Sunday. And in your post, I would like you to answer these 2 questions. Comparing your returns to the market, in your opinion, what caused your selections to differ from the market index returns? So if you beat the market or did not do as well as the market indicators over from February to May, why do you think that happened? Are your companies a little bit more cyclical than the markets? Are your companies are better choices than in the current economic times we live in? Whatever. In your opinion, tell me why your selections differ from the market index returns. The second question is a little bit more hypothetical. If you had the cash, if you had this $100,000 today, would you continue this portfolio into the real world? If you could take this portfolio, would you feel confident enough if you had this money, would you keep it going? Why or why not? Now, if I was a typical student like Tyler or Jacob or Aaron or whoever, I would probably say, the hell with you, give me the $100,000 cash and I'm not going to do any more investing. I'm just going to go out and pay my bills and keep on trucking. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you decide to take this portfolio and continue it, why would you do that? Do you think those stocks are a good indicator of the future? And would you maintain that going out into the future? So update your portfolio as of Friday, May 15th. Post the spreadsheet file into your discussion forum and then answer those 2 questions. This is 5% of your course grade. And once we have all those posted and determined, I will announce next week our Wolf of Wall Street winner, where you get a special prize for having the best portfolio performance during the course of our 3-month February to May, 3 months, pretty much, period of class, and we'll talk about that and review that next week. So this is something you need to do for Friday and post it by Sunday at midnight, please. Any questions on that? Okay, very good. Now I have something a little different for us this morning. I am going to be doing a poll of you guys. Here's the poll. Do you guys see the poll? Tanner, do you see the poll on your screen?
No, I don't.
Okay, hang on. This is something new for the Dr. Hassey, so I'm trying to figure this one out. Bear with me. Do you see it now, Tanner, please?
I see the Blackboard website.
Okay, all right. Now how about it?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to go to your screen and answer this question in the multiple choice format. Will you have a job on August 1st, 2020? Yes, no, maybe, still in school. This is all anonymous. I'm not tracking you for a University of Laverne fundraising scheme. This is just between you and I. And we can see this polling as it's taking place as you guys are answering the questions. Right now I have 10 of 21 students answering the question. I'd like to see everybody answer this if you could. Again, I'm not prying. It's anonymous. I don't know who's doing what, but I just want to get a general idea of our makeup of our class heading out into these last few weeks and into the summer. So let's everybody try to answer this poll. We're almost there. We got 18 of 21. Everybody wake up, pay attention, and do your poll. Let's see if we can do that. As you can see, the majority, or not too much, a half and half, but 44% of our class is still in school next August. Some of us, yes, about a third of us have a job. That's great. And add the maybes to that, that's 63% of our class. 2/3 of our class will be probably working come August. I thought this was kind of a fun thing to do, and I'm going to be doing this again next week with another dopey question that I'm going to come up with. But I thought this was a good idea for us to see how our class looks at in regards to job and job prospects heading out into the summertime. And as you can see, almost half of our class is still going to be in school of some time. And that's an interesting thing to do, or interesting thing to know. And again, I am not sending this to Devorah Lieberman so she can send you an email to have you give us money. I'm not going to send this to anybody. This is just our own little private poll of our class. And I thought it interesting. We have a chat question. Justin, it should be right in front of you on your screen. If you look at your screen, you should see it, and you can go to that and push the button and select the question and answer the question. It should be on your screen. And Justin just voted, even though I don't know it was specifically Justin, but it went up by 1. Sorry, who's the student that hasn't voted? I have one student who hasn't voted. What the hell's going on here? One student hasn't voted. Who is it? Who am I going to pick on? Chris, have you voted? Charlie, have you voted?
Yeah, I voted.
All
I
right.
voted.
All right, thanks, Charlie.
Yep.
Palm, have you voted? Palm, talk to me, Palm. Okay. All right, so there's the result of our polls. Pretty good. Thanks, guys. And I hope I didn't embarrass anybody, because naturally this was anonymous, but I wanted you guys to do this little poll, and it's an interesting poll. A third of our class say we're going to be working, but roughly 2/3 of our class say there's a chance of working or the opportunity of working, and then pretty close to half of our class says they're still going to be in school. So thank you for participating in our little mini poll. And again, I will not be forwarding this on to Dean Halou so he can harass you about your plans going forward. This is just for our class, and that's the end of that. Okay. And now I'm going to share the results to you guys so you can see the results. And also, I'm recording this class, so those recordings will be there. But as you can see, the majority of our class is staying in school, but also a good majority of our class will be working, and not too many people feel they will not be working come the end of the summertime. So there's the results of our poll, everybody. Hope this is kind of a different thing. I wanted to try this out. And Roy, you'll be working. You'll probably be a millionaire by August 1st, Roy. So some of you will probably be in very good shape. Tyler, you'll be in jail. I should have had that question. Who will be in jail August 1st, 2020? Mr. Adjanian, you'll probably be in. No, I'm teasing you. All right. So, okay. So that's our poll this morning, and we'll do another one of these dopey things next week with something else, and we'll try that out. Okay, good. So that's the end of that. Okay, great. Thanks, guys, for participating in that. It's kind of fun, kind of different. All right, my last thing to do today is this. Is to make sure that your writing assignment is due a week from today. A week from today is our last class. Our last class will be a week from today. I'll be bringing Kleenex that day. They'll be very emotional for me. That'll be our last class a week from today, and I will be giving your final examination, and it'll be due on Sunday the 24th. If you do your course evaluations, the grades of this class will be posted by Tuesday, May 26th, if you do your course evaluations. So again, writing assignment a week from today, final examination and last class a week from today. Next week, we're going to talk about careers and student loans from Appendix A-B at the end of your text, talking a little bit about that. I'm hopefully trying to arrange a University of Laverne alumnus to come and speak to us for a few moments. The bad thing about it is he is a broker and a stock trader, and at 8 o'clock in the morning, he's a little busy with his business. And so I don't know if we're going to be able to get him. I might do a pre-recorded video with him over the weekend and then post that video in our class next week, since his time schedule not be conducive to our class next week. So I'll see what I can come up with there. So that's what we have. Again, your portfolio update on Friday, and post it by Sunday with answering. Don't forget, your portfolio is in a spreadsheet. I need to see the spreadsheet, and don't forget to answer those 2 questions, and you'll be in good shape. Okay. Does anybody have any issues or questions they need to talk to me about? Good to see you, Bernice. You got your camera on. Hi, Bernice. Nice to see you. So anybody have any questions for me this Wednesday? Ivan, you've been very quiet. What's going on, Ivan? Any questions?
I have none, Professor. Just listening.
Ivan, do you do online trading?
I did, but I started recently. I started with my savings accounts. Then I started with the what do you call it? The money market account in a bank.
Yeah.
Then after that, I started E-Trade because they have the Roth IRA that you can put into as well.
Right.
And then that's when I once I had enough savings, then I started putting money into the stocks.
What was your, not to get, you don't give me the dollar amount, but what did you feel comfortable, at what type of volume in your savings did you feel comfortable to start going into online trading? Was it over
A year's
1,000, over
a
1,000?
year's
How much?
a year's worth of fixed expenses.
Very good. Okay, a year's worth of fixed expenses. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So, and again, oh, this is a good feed in. That's why we do a spending diary, to see what our fixed expenses are, what our expenses are. And once Ivan knew what his fixed expenses are and he had those covered in a savings account, then he was able to move into maybe a little bit more riskier or more advantage, higher return type of investment. Am I correct on that, Ivan?
Yeah, that's when I felt like it was okay for me to start gambling with my money, you know, because I had
Bad choice.
terrible luck.
Bad choice of words, gambling, but in some
I mean,
respects, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, very good. Well, thanks, Ivan. That's good. Thanks for the input. Okay, so that's something that you guys can start thinking about is online trading again. But mark my words, it can be very dangerous. And if you're just putting all your money into online trading, you have to understand the risk involved. Especially if you have other responsibilities, like Ivan said, he wanted to have enough to cover maybe his rent or his car loans or whatever for a year, the fixed expenses of his life. That's something you need to think about before you go into these types of investments. So as I let you go today, I'll see you all next Monday. Have a good rest of the week. Do you realize we might be doing this stuff till July in Los Angeles County? We're going to be doing quarantine till July. My wife is going to kill me. She really is. One of these days, you guys are going to say, where happened to Hassie? His wife killed him. She couldn't take it any longer. So that's going to be a problem. So hopefully I got enough to get you guys through this class. But the summer classes could be in trouble because I might, I got to watch what I say here. I might be murdered by my wife. It's getting that ugly. No, I'm teasing. No. All right, guys. Have a good day. We'll see you all Monday. Be careful.
Do we have an update from the university about what's going on with fall?
I think that update will be coming probably at the end of this month.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, Ashton. I think that was Ashton.
It was, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ashton. Thanks, Palm. Good to hear from you.
I have a question, Professor.
Yes, Chris.